This is day 5 of this January 2026 7-day Rohatsu Sesshin. And yesterday we were reading from the book Subtle Sound, the Zen teachings of Maurine, Stuart. And we'll continue with the chapter I was reading from titled Sesshin Mind, Universal Mind. It's about the power of individual and collective effort that we have here in Sesshin. Picking right up from where we left off, Maurine Roshi says, during Sesshin, we are suspended in a place where the only thing to do is to get in touch with the teachings and with ourselves. That's all. Very clearly, to get in touch. Every day, we chant the 3 refuges. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. We have a wonderful support system. The Buddha, a human being who practiced faithfully and who came to understand the true nature of the universe and of himself, said to all of us, "You can do this too." The Buddha offered to us his example. You can do this too. But do what? It's really nothing we need to do per se. It's really more about undoing our attachment to self and other, to thoughts, and it runs against this undoing runs against how we normally conduct our lives. We normally keep ourselves very busy. But this practice requires us to stay still. To relax into non-doing, getting the self out of the way. She continues, the Dharma is the teaching of our everyday life experience, right here. The Sangha is our companionship, our being present for each other. And with our own richness of experience, we come, little by little, to feel true peace of mind, true contentment of spirit, Each of us is the only one who can know if this is so. Thanks to this practice, I feel I do have some true peace of mind. After all, life and death, health and illness are one. The true face of the universe includes all things in it: good, bad, life, death, health, illness, all of it. There are so many so-called healers in the world. But healers cannot bring us wholeness. Healers do not heal us. The healing is already there in the wholeness. And the real goal of healing is to help the person in need of healing to be aware of this. Whole and complete, just as you are. There are different meanings and uses for the word healing. Some understand healing to be a matter of curing or recovering from an illness or, say, an injury. And healing in that sense can involve taking medicine, getting rest, doing restorative exercises, and other ways of allowing the body-mind to return to a healthy state. There are some illnesses that cannot be cured. And really, it's also not possible to return to some former state, as much as we might try. For example, to undo aging. There's a whole industry that revolves around this, as if it's an illness. As each moment passes, we age. Cells divide. Also, new ones develop. It's said that every day billions of cells die and new ones develop. So we can say that healing, in the absolute sense of it, isn't about preserving a certain state or returning to a certain state. It's about, as Maurine says, realizing that we are already whole. There's nothing that needs to change. And that's even if we have an illness or an injury. Even if our limbs or other body parts no longer function the way they used to. Still whole and complete. As Maurine continues, she gets personal and talks about her own health situation. She says, at the deepest level, the so-called sick person has no sickness. At this level, I am not sick. And there's a footnote here that says her medical tests indicated metastasized cancer. And that this teisho that I'm reading from was given 1 year before her death. She was first diagnosed with liver cancer in 1987 and passed away in 1990. So she continued to practice and to teach well into the progression of her cancer. Until she could no longer, at least not in the body that she was in. She continues, with deep gratitude to this practice, because of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, because of all of this that we are engaged in together, because of this indefinable, mysteriously unspeakable, marvelous, whatever it is, I really do feel this no sickness. No sickness. No disease. No cancer. Nothing lacking. And in reading this, I was reminded of the koan in the Shoyoroku, also known as the Book of Serenity. It's called Dongshan is Sick, case 94. A monk said to Dongshan, "You are sick, teacher. But is there someone who is not sick?" To which Dongshan replied, "There is." Then the monk asked, "Does the one who is not sick look after you?" Dongshan said, "It is this old monk that is looking after that one." So he flips it around. Well, how is it when you look after that one? asked the monk. And Dongshan said, "Then I do not see that there is illness." I do not see that there is illness. What do we see when we drop our preoccupation with ourself? What do we see when we let go, really let go of thoughts about me and my? There's only one way to find out. Maurine Roshi goes on. You cannot take my definition, my experience of it as yours, of course. The only reason I tell you of my experience is in the hope that it will encourage you. It is your own life experience that confronts you all the time. Your heart doesn't beat because you think of it. Your breath is not breathing because you say, breathe. A power beyond definition is making our hearts beat and making us breathe. This is the reality of our lives. So we know why we are here. We are here to get rid of confusion. Each one of us must do it. Buddha said, "You must be a lamp unto yourself." May our lamps shine out unselfconsciously so that we may continue this wonderful practice for all beings. Not just for ourselves alone. Not just to fix myself and fix my life, my pain, my suffering. But to see clearly to see that all there is just pain, just suffering, just life. Not mine and yours, us and them. As Ramana Maharshi said, give up the notion that I am this and I am that. Your duty is to just be. Your duty is to just be. We'll now start on another chapter. This next one is titled Giving It Away, and it's chapter 5. Maurine says, "It's easy to say, just become simple, plain, ordinary. Don't think about the past or future. Just live in the present moment. How difficult." Practicing together, we learn more and more, moment to moment, that we cannot apply what worked in the past to this time. This is completely different. Everything must be done in a fresh, present tensed kind of way. The old rules don't apply. We must pay attention to what the present moment asks of us. When the future that we expected is here, it may be entirely different from what we envisioned. So what is the use of all that worrying about how to deal with it? How many of us have done just that, the same thing, time after time, applying our own old rules, even though it's not helpful, hanging on to the same old thoughts, the same old way of doing things. And then somehow we're surprised that we're stuck in the same old place. Same old pattern. There's that saying, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. She continues. Hui Neng tells us we will never grasp anything by thinking about it after it has happened. If our minds are clear, we will see our original nature at this moment. If our minds are not fuzzy, not painted over by some fixed ideas, not held in thrall by old ways, old traditions, our original nature can be seen immediately. Look directly. Hui Neng is the sixth patriarch, and he was a lay practitioner who didn't have any formal Zen training, like most of us. And he was poor and illiterate. The story goes that he awakened suddenly upon hearing the words of the Diamond Sutra being recited. So he became legendary as an ignorant young man who surpassed the more refined and cultured monks that had undergone training. And his example shows what's possible when your mind isn't clouded by thoughts of right and wrong, good and bad. When it's not clouded by concepts, theories, ideas, explanations. Just looking directly. Not through some filter. Maurine goes on. Hui Neng also says that if we hold onto an evil thought, we will destroy the cause of 1,000,000 years' virtue. What does he mean by an evil thought? One such thought that causes us a lot of pain is resentment. It may make us feel quite superior to say to someone, I forgive you. Things quiet down, perhaps, but the pain and resentment may be pushed down into our unconscious mind, and rigidity comes to the surface. We may say, I'll never do that again. But how do we know what we will or will not do again? True forgiveness brings a great change in our hearts. We are always talking about open-heartedness. Again, it is easy to talk about, but difficult to do. What is it to truly open our hearts in forgiveness? It is to see all the blows of fate we have experienced, all the rejections of the past, present, and future, all of our weaknesses, as part of a darkness that is helping us to bring in more light. So this is a altogether different kind of forgiveness she's talking about. There's the ordinary sense of forgiving someone who said or did something hurtful. And it's an important part of the process of letting go, not clinging to the past, and repairing, restoring a relationship. But even that's not easy because it still requires vigilance of noticing when, even after you've forgiven someone, you may still be holding on to the resentment. At a more basic level, though, she's pointing at forgiving oneself. To treating yourself with the same compassion and love that you aspire to give to others. To not seeing yourself as broken or deficient. Which is a product of clinging to thoughts about broken and unbroken. Good and bad. Right and wrong. This and that. Once and for all, get rid of them. The first line in Master Hakuin's chant in praise of Zazen is, from the very beginning, all beings are Buddha. No exceptions, no qualifications, all beings. We come to this practice as we are, and we do this practice as we are. Maurine then says, we are engaged in a practice of looking in the mirror, seeing ourselves clearly, seeing what is reality and what is illusion. How can I extend my Zen practice to all my friends? Someone asked me. We cannot do anything but allow the fruits of the practice to come through us. in our spontaneous response to whatever is asked of us wherever we go. Just unselfconsciously and spontaneously responding to circumstances with an open heart and mind. This is our practice. It is the only thing we can do. We cannot plan to extend our Zen practice to this person or that country. Who knows what will be asked of us here, there, or anywhere? We don't just decide we're going to bring our Zen practice into our lives. Our practice is the foundation of our lives. We cannot unearth the root and say, this is what I'm going to live by. Zazen is the root. It is what we are experiencing day by day through our bodies as much as through our minds. We can memorize all the sutras and shastras. A shastra is a set of guidelines or principles. For example, a moral code that monks would follow. We can memorize all the sutras and shastras. We can read innumerable books. We can search for some key phrase we think will enlighten us because we have read that Hui Neng was enlightened when he heard the Diamond Sutra. We may try to grasp all these words, but eventually we will forget them. What we never forget is what our bodies have learned. Our bodies remember what they experience. They hurt in certain places to teach us something. If we allow the breath to go through the entire body, it naturally sits up straight. We don't have to fix it. We just have to pay attention. Our bodies teach us through pain, through weariness, about what we are resisting. Why are we so rebellious that we get this little knot here or there? It's usually because we're afraid to find out who we are. This is something we all experience in sesshin. Tightness in certain parts of our body, knots, not just in the body, but in the mind. Holding on. And as for fear, fear is also a common emotion or energy, you can even call it, that we can experience in sesshin. Feeling vulnerable, fragile, feeling like you're on shaky ground. And ordinarily, when we experience fear, what do? Ordinarily, we kind of back off. Go in the opposite direction. Go back to a place that's familiar and comfortable. Go back to our old habits and patterns, our old narratives. Which brings us back to the same unsatisfactory place. If you encounter fear, you may not even know what it's about. And it's just one of a number of mental, emotional, even physical states that we can experience. And the ones that are unpleasant are the ones where we back off. The ones that feel good are the ones we chase after and try to stay in it, make more of it happen. But as for fear, or anxiety, or anger, try something different. Instead of backing off, stay right there. Relax into it. See what's there. Be willing to experiment in this way. You know, the only way a lotus blossom can open is by going straight through the muck. Maurine Roshi then says, to sit together in the Zendo is paradise. What a wonderful opportunity it is to be here together in this clean, clear stillness, with everyone completely participating, with delicious food offered to us 3 times a day. Now, for those sitting on Zoom, it's not quite the same experience, but don't underestimate it. Doing sesshin from home and participating on Zoom has its own unique qualities. You do have to rely more on your own resources. You don't have the same structure. You really do have to become your own lamp. But you also have this opportunity to integrate all this intensive zazen that you're doing into your home life, into the life that you're living, which is ultimately what the Buddha taught. He went right into the marketplace. Maurine Roshi then says, all you need to do is let everything drop off. To deeply experience what we have here together, it's up to you. So please let go of all those contradictory concepts. Wash them all away. And remember that this Zazen mind is not some trance-like state in which you zoom off into the stratosphere. You don't lose consciousness. You remain absolutely present. You just give up your discriminating mind and become absolutely clear, wide awake. That is what Bodhi means. Enlightened, awakened, wide awake. When Master Rinzai received a very distinguished visitor who asked him if his monks read the sutras, he replied, "They do not." Then the visitor asked if they practiced Zen. Rinzai said, "No, they do not practice Zen." The visitor did not understand and asked, "Well then, what in the world are they doing here?" And Rinzai answered, "All I have them do is become Buddhas." We'll stop here and recite the 4 vows.